Hello there and welcome back. Today I want to take you on a journey that opened my eyes as a photographer. So last December, just before Christmas, I took a trip to the Philippines with my wife and a couple of friends. At first, it was just a fun holiday, lots of sun, boat rides and the usual tourist activities. But while exploring Coron, the first stop of our trip, I noticed something important. The life of a tourist there is completely different from the one of the locals. This hit me hard. For a long time, I spent my time creating content for social media or commercial work while traveling, but this trip reminded me of the power of documenting real stories. Along the way, I took some street photos documenting everyday moments that usually are avoided by tourists. So in this video, which is the first in a three-part series, I want to take you along as I discover the true side of Coron. And it isn't just about the photos I took, it's about the reality I found, the contrast I felt, and the importance of looking beyond the surface. So stuck until the end, because the best moments are the ones when I stepped outside my comfort zone. And also, of course, during this trip I took with me my Fuji X100V, my Canon A1 and my iPhone 15 Pro Max for the video part. But before we jump into the heart of Philippines, let's take a quick detour. I had a 13-hour layover in Beijing and I made the most of it by visiting the Great Wall. We landed early in the morning and after the immigration controls, we went straight to the north part of Beijing, where the first portion of the wall was visible. It was about 1 hour and a half by car. I don't know if it was because I was tired, cold, or because the flat winter colors, but it was a bit tough to get good shots. Despite all of that, I still managed to get a few good ones. The next stop was Manila, just a quick one to sleep and take a shower, before heading back to the airport again for the next flight. The first stop of our trip was Coron City, in Busuanga Island. Since the primary goal of this trip was just relaxing, the first full day of a holiday started with some touristy activities. In this case, the most common one is the island hopping. But since the tour was departing around 8 in the morning, I had enough time after breakfast to get a bit lost in the busy rhythm of the town, spending some time just observing the life going on. So in the following 2 days, we did a couple of tours, visiting incredible islands with the bunker boats, beautiful beaches and eating incredible food. Yet, while doing these tours, I felt in love with the crew of the boat. In most of the cases, they are a whole family running this business. So I found myself turning my camera mostly around these guys working hard to make the boat ride more enjoyable for us. I watched them cooking on the boat or using long bamboo sticks to move the boat carefully above the reef in the low water. Even when visiting the islands, I spent some time looking at the locals doing what for them is just the normal life, but for me it was everything new, like this lady preparing the coconut. But as beautiful as Coron is, I started feeling like I was living in a bubble. The luxury of the tourist experience felt disconnected from the whole reality of this place. During these days, I felt the need to document the reality behind the common activities. So I decided to take one day just to roam around Coron City and see what the local life was truly like. After a quick research on Google Maps, I decided the first stop of the day, the local market. The market is located quite far from the houses, and I wish you could smell the acrid, intense smell that was in the air. While I was living in the market, I saw probably the most disturbing scene of the day. Now, I have to give you a little bit of context here. I am mainly vegetarian by choice, not because I don't like meat, but because I'm conscious of what eating meat means. So at the market, I saw this scene of a pig tied to a leg, really closer to slaughter, as the animals are actually slaughtered directly at the market. Although I did not capture the killing of the pig, hearing its cries, aware of what he was heading for, disturbed me enough. The second stop of the day was the local slum. It's located very close to the city center, yet still remains hidden from the eyes of tourists. The shanties are made on stilts built on the water, although in many cases there was a large amount of mud and debris. In fact, talking with some locals, they explained to me that recently a strong typhoon hit the slum, destroying many of the houses. On the way back, I took some more street photos without doing much videos, but I think they still work to the scene. As I wrap up this journey, I want to share the profound impact that visiting the market and the slum had on me. Documenting life there made it clear how the local people live, revealing the contrast between the tourist experience and the realities of daily life. Within just a few meters, I saw both richness and poverty. And I think as photographers, we have a unique opportunity and responsibility to document the world around us. Not just for the sake of taking good pictures, but to truly understand what's around us. In this way, by traveling, you can ensure you're doing it sustainably. You are no longer traveling in a consumerist manner, simply visiting a place, consuming and living. Instead, you are really getting to know the local reality. Meeting locals and talking with them help us to understand the reality behind tourist attractions. So I encourage you to take the time to explore beyond the typical attractions and to be curious about the world around you. In my case, the Filipino people were warm and kind at all times. Even in the slums, their smiles welcomed me, making me feel safe and accepted. However, it's important to be mindful and do your research before wandering into unfamiliar places. I made sure to ask locals if it was safe to visit the slum, and thankfully my precautions paid off. So I invite you to venture further when you travel, seeking out those hidden stories that enrich our understandings of a place. There's always something more to discover, and as a photographer, it is so important to document these experiences. In the next video, I am heading to El Nido, and conscious of what I saw in Coron, I shifted my focus to documenting local life instead of the usual tourist activities. As always, I'd love to hear your thoughts on this journey. If you ever stepped outside touristy areas, met locals, or documented meaningful stories, let me know in the comments below. Thank you for joining me on this adventure. If you liked this video, stay tuned for the second part next week. And if you haven't already, subscribe to the channel so you won't miss what's next. Bye.